This is a WWN Publishing Group recording. Copyright 2017, all rights reserved. This is an abridged version of Night Takes Pawn, Book 1 of the Red Knight series by Martha Sweeney, to make the story appropriate for all listeners on YouTube. Read to you by the author. If you want to read the complete story, you can find the ebook or paperback online. Links are provided below in the description.
Chapter 25, Red. Since Ryan left, I can't stop thinking about him and how things have been between us. I know I need to tell him about my last kill and what happened with Breaker. There's a part of me that doesn't fear Breaker, but at the same time, I know that the man can overpower me if he wants to. I've tried escaping or attacking him several times, and I have always been met with Breaker's fists. Once Ryan left yesterday, I satisfied myself to take the edge off. Then I made my way down to the kitchen for breakfast. It's weird having the freedom to move about the house. There's barely anyone awake. I could run, if I wanted to try, but I know there are guards all around the perimeter. There's no place for me to go, and I'm not quite sure where here is in relation to everything else. I could try to run home, back to my mother, but would she even be there, or would I even make it before being found? I've realized that I'm actually safer in this place than out there. The kitchen staff is very helpful with preparing my food. I stay with them in the kitchen to eat rather than being out in the main dining area. I'm scared to be here without Ryan. I don't have a weapon to protect myself if needed. I know that there are rules about me being Ryan's woman, but I don't trust anyone. I trust some of the women to some extent, but I wouldn't put it past them to turn on one another if threatened or for self-preservation. I know I would without hesitation, which bothers me a little. I guess one really learns about themselves when they're put in these kind of life or death situations. You might not always like what you see, but you have to live with it if you want to live at all. Once I'm finished eating, I wander through the main corridors a little, wanting to see more of Jagger's home. I carry my shoes in hand, hoping to go unnoticed. The place is huge, and there's so much stuff to see. It's like an old castle that has both antique and modern furniture and design combined. Some of the rooms are a little tacky in my opinion, but others are actually designed well with the old and the new. For the first time, I actually see the outside of Jagger's home during the day. There's nothing but grass for miles out of most windows except for the edges of a forest on what looks like two sides. Guards are strategically placed along the perimeter of the house, and I'm sure there are more beyond what my eyes cannot see. The front is a grand driveway with a circular stone path that has a large fountain in the middle, but it doesn't work. During my wandering, I run into a few of the girls. They invite me to hang out with them, so I oblige. We eat, they chat, and eventually they get dressed and insist on me changing. Apparently, since this is one of the days where most of our men are busy, we get to leave the house to go shopping and exploring. Escorted by our own security, 8 of us, including Lynn, Lolly, Cherie, Jade, and Hayna, hit the upscale shopping district. Our clothes, shoes, and accessories are free, all because we're part of Jagger's crew. It takes me a little while to get used to the concept since I never shopped with my mother. Clothing was a luxury to us. All of the clothes we wore had purpose: keep us warm, keep us cool, and most were for work. All of the girls help each other out with selecting outfits. Lolly and Hayna help me the most and make it fun. I'm not sure when was the last time I actually had fun. I think it was when I was a child, before I knew the way the world works. We bounce in and out of the stores until late in the afternoon. Our last stop is the salon before having dinner at one of Jagger's restaurants. Arriving back at the mansion, the guards help us carry our bags to our rooms. I opt out of hanging with the girls, eager to be in the room for Ryan's return. No one has heard anything about the men coming back today, but I hope that he'll be back tonight. I've gotten so used to going to sleep and waking up next to him. The next day, the girls coax me out of the room with a trip to the theater and more shopping. I indulge a little more in everything, including food and drinks, not caring at this point. I feel the freest that I can ever remember in my life. I get to see a lot more of the city and marvel at the destruction and beauty of it all. We have dinner back at the house with Jagger and then hang out in one of the game rooms for a little while. The house is quieter than usual, something I could actually get used to. Later, I start to feel a little antsy, especially when Breaker and his crew arrive back, so I excuse myself and head up to my room. To help the evening pass until Ryan gets home, I reorganize a few things in the room, including our closet. Right when I think I've got the closet set up to my liking, I hear the sound of the door being unlocked. I rush to be able to greet Ryan, excited that he's back. When I get 5 feet away from the door, my heart stops beating, my feet stop moving, and the wind is knocked out of me the instant I see a face that does not belong to Ryan. "I knew you'd be here, Red," Breaker's voice says with a slur. He takes a few slow steps toward me after closing the door behind him. My feet delay in shock for several seconds, allowing Breaker to stop me before I get the chance to turn and find one of Ryan's guns. "How are you, Red?" Breaker asks, tightening his grip on my arm. He strokes the side of my cheek with his fingers before they curl around my neck. He reeks of Wamana. I shake my head to rid it of his touch, hoping that this is just a bad dream. "Did you think I'd forget?" Breaker asks, squeezing his hand just a bit more around my throat. "I'd never forget about you." I'm not sure if I react other than my eyes widening at the creepy look on his face. My hands clench his wrists. Breaker's grip is tight enough that I can't break free and is just on the verge of cutting off oxygen. "I told you you'd pay for your shit," Breaker sneers. I yank at his arms, hoping to free myself and find a weapon. "Knight's not here to protect you," he states with an evil grin. "It's time for me to collect." My eyes widen as his fingers press against my skin. I'm able to slip from his grip after I knee him in the groin, but Breaker is able to catch my foot when he hits the ground. My hands spring forward, trying to soften my fall. I narrowly avoid hitting my head on the wall. "Get back here," he taunts. I flip on my back and jam my foot in his direction, hitting the arm he uses to block me. "I knew you'd be a frisky one," Breaker torments, crawling after me. I continue to fight as he manages to slide over me. My hands search for anything that can be used as a weapon, as my legs flail to keep him at bay. A sudden sharp pain in my cheek halts my movements. My vision blurs a little as I feel his greasy hands on my body. I scream out, hoping that someone, anyone, will hear me. I suck in a harsh breath of air after Breaker's fist collides with my stomach. "Come on, Red," Breaker says, pinning my arms against the floor. "You knew this was coming." He shifts his arms and I'm able to lean up and bite him. "Bitch," he shouts. All the air in my lungs is forced out from another slap to my face. I scream again, careful not to utter a word. Breaker laughs. His hand surrounds my throat and he uses his weight to pin me. "You know you want this," he says, licking my cheek. The taste of vomit surfaces in my mouth from the stench of his body smothering me. I continue to try to buck up to get him off, but he's too heavy. "You know that Knight isn't the man for you," Breaker states. "You need someone to put you in your place." I scream again as I frantically try to break free. My arms flail in an attempt to get him off of me. I'm about to bite him again, but Breaker captures my face just under my chin after getting both of my arms pinned above my head. I shake my head to get him to let go, but his fingers dig deeper into my flesh. "Scream all you want, Red," Breaker says. "No one can hear you." My heart catches in my throat when I feel him pushing my dress up above my hips. "Night is gone until tomorrow. I made sure of it," he taunts. "You're all mine to play with. All night." My legs kick, but he blocks every one of my attempts. I fight harder when I hear the clang of metal and realize he's undoing his belt. I try to scream again, hoping that someone will come to my aid. Breaker's grip loosens on my hands, and I'm able to jab my fingers into one of his eyes. I yank my right leg back in an effort to kick him in the balls, but miss and clip him in his upper thigh. I rush to get out from under him, but he's quick to follow, fueled by anger. Breaker gets a hold of my left ankle and drags me back to him. I fight with everything I have, desperate for this nightmare to end. Another searing pain flows through my stomach and my upper body falls to the floor. Breaker flips me onto my stomach and presses his elbow into my back. I fight back tears, not wanting to let him win. I try to push my body up off the ground with my arms, but Breaker's too heavy. His free hand pushes my panties down farther as I try to flip over to face him. I can't let him succeed. I don't think I'll survive after this if he does. "Fight all you want, Red," Breaker coaxes. "It'll make this that much more enjoyable for me." I suddenly hear a blood-curdling scream and realize that it's me. Breaker has managed to penetrate me in a single, forceful thrust. My body aches from the attack and the taste of copper is evident in my mouth as he continues to press my face down into the carpet. My skin burns and crawls with disgust as he continues to use me as another one of his dacking toys. "That's it," Breaker huffs. "Now you know who's boss around here, Red." Tears begin to well in my eyes as I wish for someone to help me, but I know that no one is coming. I gag from the smell of Wamana on his breath and his foul body odor. I stop fighting, realizing that Breaker gets off on a woman who tries to get away. My fate has already been sealed, and there's no point in giving him any more of what he really wants. There's no point in fighting since he's already won the battle. I'm not sure how much longer he continues to rape me because I let my mind wander to a place and a time that doesn't exist. I'm caught between the perils of reality and pray that he'll kill me when he's finished. There's no point in living after this, and for the first time in my life, I wish I was dead.
This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. To read the full, unabridged version, you can find a link in the description below. To find out about new releases before the general public, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. Also, to be notified when the next chapter is published, make sure you subscribe to my channel.